There was stress, there was drama, and for a while, it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But in the end, Clayton Kershaw's 3,000 strikeout was about as perfect as you could have hoped for in any movie. Let's talk about it on Locked On. Not Locked On. Shut up, Jeff. This is all Dodgers. Hey, I am Jeff Snyder. I can't be trusted alone. Let's bring in Clint now. This is the All Dodgers podcast with Clint Pasillas and Jeff Snyder, part of the Believe network of podcasts. I used to be on a different podcast. Apparently, my mouth sometimes still thinks I
How
am.
dare you utter her name? Oh,
Oh,
man.
you know what? This is the first big news that I've talked about on this show. I spent 6 years talking about big news on that other show, and so that's what my mouth wants to say. Let preliminaries, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for being here with us live. Sorry we weren't live last night. Clint was at the game, and we really felt like this moment deserved both of us. And so, and you know what? There's a lot of traffic in the Dodgers podcast sphere right after a game like that. And so, you know what? Let's get our own time slot on Friday morning, Thursday morning, whatever day it is, this morning.
Somewhere.
And so here we are. And Clayton Kershaw, he got to 3,000 strikeouts, Clint. It was, we went into the day pretty confident it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the game started. And as time went by, we got less and less confident because Kershaw kept getting to 2 strikes on everybody and kept striking out none of them.
Yeah.
And what was the feeling like in the stadium? I know what it was like in my living room on my couch with my family and friends surrounding me. And I know I kind of have a guess because you and I were texting a little bit, and you didn't seem super confident that this was going to happen.
It was an emotional day, like a roller coaster of emotion type of day, because you have all the confidence at one point, like everything is going to go right. Kershaw's going to strike out like 17 batters. He's going to throw a perfect game, all this kind of stuff. And then you're like, wait, what happens if he puts together a stinker? And I just suffered through the Dodger Stadium parking lot and the surrounding areas to get into this, to watch him go 3 innings or whatever, which for a moment looked like a real possibility in that game. Did not really have the slider going. Just seemed to be overall struggling with his put away pitch, which, he even said after the game. But being at the stadium was honestly pretty surreal. Like, everybody wants to focus on that 6th inning where he came back out, and that is usually, I've never experienced that. I've been to a lot of big games at the stadium. I've seen a lot of big playoff moments, regular season moments where the stadium erupts. You feel that earthquake shaking feeling at the ballpark. But that, to watch a dude coming back out to pitch who had not really had a great game up to that point, it was pretty special. And I think overall it was an emotional roller coaster of a day. And then finally to cap it off, not even to cap it off, because obviously we got to talk about Muncy, but to add to that emotional roller coaster, the immediate dive and then rise of having Muncy come out of the game, the air sucked out of the stadium, and then Kershaw gets the K. I mean, I feel terrible that it had to happen that way. But as Vince Scully said, in the history of the Dodgers, nothing comes easy, or nothing ever comes easy, whatever he said. But we got there. We got to 3,000 strikeouts. It happened at home the way it was meant to happen, in front of Dodger Stadium faithful on a otherwise very solid Wednesday evening, and it didn't happen in Milwaukee. And I'm happy I was there to watch it all unfold, and he should have taken his 2nd or 3rd curtain call for the fans.
Yeah, we got 2, or 1 curtain call plus the waving on the field, which is about as much as you can hope for from Kershaw. We remember when he set the Dodgers record for strikeouts, he didn't even want the game to stop at all. He's like, all right, give me a ball, let me keep going. And so I think in his old age, as a father, all those things, he's come to appreciate a little bit more that he kind of owes it to the fans to do that, and that's what makes the moment special is the fans. He said that when he came back out for that 6th inning and heard the roar of the crowd, that they kind of hit him. You could tell it kind of he realized at that moment a little bit more deeply. Wow, these people, I know they got a bobblehead today, but they're here for me.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Muncy. I think I made an executive decision, which I think I'm allowed to do. My name's on the podcast now. That we're gonna save most of our Muncy talk for when we actually know something. Like,
Okay, that's fair.
because right now we could spend 20 minutes talking about, well, if this then that, and if this then that. Muncy's getting an MRI today. Luckily, we're probably doing another show tonight.
Yeah.
And
We
so
definitely need to have some Muncie breaking news
yeah.
podcast tonight. So guys, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you do all those things so you can stay tuned to know what's going on and our opinions about who's replacing Muncie at third base. It's going to be Kike for a while, but I do not have high hopes. I saw that in the moment. And again, we're not talking about it here a lot right now. I don't have high hopes. Plus, Dave had some positive things to say. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, it's definitely an IL stint, even if it's just a sprain. When you're left-handed hitter, it's your left knee. There's no way, even a sprained knee, that you're not out for at least 10 days. Or at least 8 days, which is enough to justify an IL stint. But yeah, we'll dig more into that tonight when we know a little bit more. Kershaw himself, like after the game, he was asked, did you feel like this was the perfect way it went? He's like, no, I wish it had happened quicker. And I wish I hadn't given up so many runs. But he said, in hindsight, yeah, it being the last pitch he threw of the night made it special. Dave Roberts talked about that too, that they could just, okay, it's the third out of the inning. It's the last pitch he's thrown, so he can just soak in the moment, knowing, because even if it was the last out of the third inning, Kershaw would have been like, okay, this is great, but I'm still pitching, so I got to keep my head in the game. This was nice that he didn't have to keep his head in the game because he knew he was done. And he was able to just soak it in, wave to his family, blow kisses, wave to the crowd, all of that. It was,
cool.
It was one of those things where it was frustrating in the moment. Like all three of my kids were there with me. They don't usually watch the games with me because two of them are adults. The other one's a teenager. They have lives. They have friends. They like to be out doing stuff in the evenings. And they sacrifice their evening to spend it with Dad, watching Dad's favorite player do a big momentous thing. And if it hadn't happened, like, I don't know if my children would have forgiven me. And so, it was stressful. But when he got it done, it's like, okay, I think this might have been perfect.
The stadium was doing everything it can to will him to those 3 strikeouts to get to 3,000. I kept yelling at people. It's like, please stop, leave him alone. This isn't helping him. Like, I could only imagine, like, this is a dude, obviously 18 seasons now, in a Dodger uniform. And he's been through every big moment. Even he said the highs, the lows, more than he would like to admit. But he had nerves. He had pressure. He even said it's very hard now to try to strike dudes out. And everybody, when you got to 2 strikes, especially in my section out there, Loge 165, represent baby. People standing, cheering, Kershaw. It was really cool. It was, again, very surreal for a July 2nd game that really had, against the White Sox, it didn't have a whole abundance of meaning overall in the grand scheme of things. Overall, incredibly special. And to cap it off with a walk-off and how much we know Freddie needed that as well. That's what made it a perfect day, outside of the bad feeling in the pit with the whole Muncy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the betting odds were on Kershaw getting to 3,000. But you know what? Who would have known? Bet Online. Because Bet Online continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball is in full swing. Football season's right around the corner. Bet Online has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. Anything you want to bet on, MLB, UFC, tennis, NFL futures, whatever it is, Bet Online remains your choice for sports wagering info. And in between games, you can head over to the Bet Online Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. So head to the website today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. Bet Online, the game starts here.
And the show resumes now. We got some good comments in here. I liked Denny Cortez says all the cheering at 2Ks was jacking him up. I don't know what was that. I think the White Sox went in there with very little to lose, and they were just doing. I mean, Kershaw didn't have his best stuff. Very obviously did not have his best stuff. I don't know what it looked like on TV. I've not watched the highlights yet. Did not have his best stuff in person.
I don't know that it was a stuff thing. I think he was going for the strikeout. He admitted after the game he was going for the strikeouts, and so there were a lot of situations where, okay, the best pitch right here is a slider inside to get him to roll over and ground out, But he's like, I need the strikeout, so I'm going for a curveball in the dirt, and so he's getting it at bad counts because he's trying to get them to chase. It seemed like. I think he probably would have gotten to 3,000 to the third strikeout more quickly if he had just not thought about strikeouts, because his regular game, you're going to get some strikeouts accidentally, but also, these White Sox, their game plan was, I'm not going to be the guy on the video that is shown to Dodger fans for the rest of their lives of Kershaw's 3,000 strikeout. Because, I still remember, you remember Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeout, curveball dropping in, Ricky Henderson strikes out looking. Like, Ricky Anderson wasn't thrilled about being in that video, and now this dude, Frank Capra's great grandson or whoever it was, he gets to be in that video, but nobody wanted to be the one in that video. And so they're like, we're going to just put the bat on the ball. It was crazy to me. They got into as many 2-strike counts as they did, because I thought their approach would be swing early, swing often, so that you don't get into a 2-strike count. And
they're also a really bad team.
They are a bad team.
To their credit.
Yeah. So,
go ahead. I was to say ADK saying then me.
I'm
ADK saying in the chat. Also, Roberts also gets his flowers for letting Kershaw go as long as he did. Now, you said when you were texting back and forth with me and Kevin, you were like, he's staying in this game. I was a little worried that we wouldn't see him come out for the 6th. I was looking down in the bullpen, and people started stirring at that point.
Vesia was throwing during the 5th. It seemed to me like one of the things I was excited about was that the Dodgers do have the comfortable lead in the division, that they're not like, if it was a 1-game lead right now, maybe they would have had to play it differently, but they were able to just say, this was all about pitch count for Kershaw. This was, he's going to pitch as long as he can to get to the moment he needs. And so when he was only at, 91 pitches? Anyway, right around the 90 mark after 5 innings, I mean, there's no way they're pulling him before 100 pitches. If he had gotten to 110 pitches there in that 6th inning, they might have had to think about pulling him. But there was just no way. Dave Roberts was going to let Kershaw go as long as he possibly could to get a chance at this happening, because they wanted, I wonder if Dave was thinking, man, maybe I should have let him go the 6th inning his last time out and get another 1 or 2 strikeouts, so we didn't need quite so many this time. You wouldn't think 3 would be that much, but before the game, Steven Nelson was reading a stat that like 94% of Kershaw's starts in his career, he's had at least 3 strikeouts. And he almost dropped that percentage a little bit yesterday.
Barely, yeah. Ray Soto said earlier in the chat as well, like 100 pitches. Wow. Like, you don't see 100. You don't see the century mark for Kershaw. And for it to happen also, again, all the theater, this is what makes baseball beautiful. His 100th pitch, final pitch of the game, all of the buildup to get that final, to get that 3rd strikeout, to get the 3,000 in front of the home faithful. Just a beautiful moment. I saw online our buddy Steven Nelson getting some flack for the call. What was your thought of the Nelly call?
I thought it was great, and I was actually asking him before the game yesterday, like, are you nervous? And he's like, I am, but less than for a postseason game. And he said the nice thing about this is what moment's coming. And the best approach is to let the crowd tell the story. And so it's really like, his approach was going to be, don't say much and then let the crowd do it. And I thought he did a great job. The little sentence he said was good. And then he just let it eat. And then I thought he did a great job of leaning into the Dave Roberts angle, because that was part of the story, that Dave Roberts let him stay in this game.
Yeah.
And so I thought Nelly did a great job on this. He absolutely would have preferred for Joe Davis to be in the booth. And he told me that they had a conversation early in the season, and Steven told Joe, if it's a game I'm scheduled to work and Kershaw's go for 3,000, you're doing the game. I'm stepping down. But Joe Davis is on vacation. He's literally gone.
Out of the country.
Yeah, he couldn't. I don't know where he is. We're not going to dox him here. But he was unavailable. And so Steven had to do it. And he recognizes that his role as the B announcer shouldn't be to call these moments. But it was there,
They
and
have
he did a great job. And he's a really good broadcaster. Like when I go back and watch and rewatch Freddie Freeman's Grand Slam from the World Series,
yeah.
I go back and forth. I listen to Joe's call, and then I flip over to the radio audio because I love Steven Nelson's call too. And then I go to the Spanish version because I love that call too. Like it's all good, but
And
I
then the
mean,
Japanese call, and then the Korean
that
call. Yeah,
one's
we
not
get it.
available on MLB TV. I do like the
Really?
Japanese call, but you have to go to
Wow.
YouTube to find that one. But it was really good too.
MLB racist? Breaking news. All right, let's not get into that. Another thing too, to give Nelly some more credit. Like, I mean, this happened what 2 pitches after the Muncy incident again, where there's just a lot. And from what I heard, they weren't showing anything on the SNLA broadcast with what happened to Max. So it's like there's a lot of air sucked out of the booth there too. To then immediately have that moment happen, it's like. Could have been better. That could have lined up a little bit better, but I saw Nelly. He posted on Twitter all the flack he got or whatever, all the range of emotions that he got from the world about his call. But listen, it's a hard job, and I think, like you said, I think he nailed it. I did hear the call, and I think I nailed it because I was one. I was part of 50 some odd thousand who made that call happen for the most part.
Yeah,
I'll take full credit.
Yeah, I mean, you were on the broadcast, very quietly. We not sure which one was you, but you were there, and yeah, it was great. He did a great job, and some people criticize him for not saying enough, and there's always going to be critics. I just came across the other night some letters to the editor from like 1978 or something, or no, it was the mid 80s. Yeah. It was Twitter for old people back then, and it was people complaining about Vin Scully's obvious bias in the World Series. But it was 3 letters, or I guess it was in the playoffs. But it's like different teams that he's obviously biased for. It's like, you know what? Yeah. People have been idiots forever. They've just adjusted their method of expressing that idiocy to the world. So,
people are fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna write that boy a strongly worded letter. That's how they talked in the 80s, I'm assuming, right? Speaking of strongly worded letters, we do have a voicemail from our friend Richie Flores, who was at the game. We didn't get a chance to connect because a lot of pomp and circumstance at Dodger Stadium. And when I sat down in my seat, I stayed in my seat for that game. But Richie had his thoughts, and I think we should share them.
All right, here we go.
Last night's game reminded me of a Russian novel. It had character development. It had a plot. It had obstacles and challenges. And finally, the ending was just exquisite. Kershaw had to go through a grind, and he showed the world his mental toughness when he finally got that 3rd strikeout. But more importantly, what happened to get him there was a total team effort. If Conforto doesn't make that catch in left field, I have serious doubts if Kershaw even gets to the 6th inning to finally get that out. Of all people, the guy that's been maligned all year, but quietly and unceremoniously, he makes that catch in left field to make the whole night possible. And then the walk-off by Freddie in the 9th inning. You couldn't have written a better script. The Dodgers also showed that at the end of the day, when they're not at their best, they are at their best.
Yeah.
The White Sox deserve a lot of credit because they didn't want to be on the wrong side of history. And they went out there and they gutsed it up. They didn't fold under pressure. They weren't going to be a red carpet for Kershaw to go over there and get his first 3 strikeouts within the 1st inning and then right into the sunset into history to Cooperstown. They battled. They grind. They did what Kershaw wanted them to do. Make him earn it. Make him battle. It was a well-played game. And that's the reason why baseball is the greatest game in the world. You just can't take a knee and run out the clock to kill the guy and never give him an opportunity to get the ball back after you punt it. So let's savor last night, and let's pray that Max Muncy didn't blow out his knee that bad, although I think we all know he's done for the year, or at least that's what it appears to be. So hashtag number 22. Hashtag Conforto for making that spectacular catch to make last night possible. And hashtag free Richie. See ya.
I love
right.
that. Appreciate Richie calling in.
That you do after.
I'll
just do that one again.
I got you. There it is. Here it is. There it is. Appreciate Richie calling into the show.
It didn't show up for us. I didn't hear it anyway. I don't know if the people could hear it. So there it is.
Yeah. I might not have pushed it in time. A couple of things I want to pull from that. But also somebody saying, and he mentioned, are you put up on the screen? Alexander Rose in his comment is like, did he record that at 3 a.m.? No, I'm pretty sure Richie, he woke up and just went, hey, everybody. Definitely sound like he was still actively in bed, but I appreciate Richie calling in. Of course, you guys can call in. Usually we do our voicemail shows on Wednesdays and Saturdays, 562-373-4095. Call in, share your thoughts. I will be live Saturday morning, taking voicemails and hanging out with everybody. But yeah, Richie mentioned the grind of it. And I think we've kind of talked around that. It was a grind. It did show some mental toughness for Clayton Kershaw. But one of the things CK also said was the team effort. And, you don't celebrate these moments on your own, especially when it's individual accolades. You celebrate it with your team. And that was a team effort to get him there. It definitely felt like a no-hitter, the way with how hard people were playing for him, including a very nice play by Mike Conforto in the first inning. Dodgers legend, Michael Conforto, mind you.
Yeah. And don't forget that Conforto also started the game-winning rally in the ninth inning that we're going to talk about in a minute. Conforto had himself a game. You could see the excitement on Kershaw's teammates' faces. Like, everybody was there for that moment. Like, winning the game was fun. And once Kershaw got to 3,000, then they're like, okay, now we might as well win this game. But the fans were all there to see Kershaw get 3,000. The players were all there to see Kershaw get 3,000. And one other way that this was like a Russian novel is that the main character's last name started with K, and Richie's 900-page voicemail also is a little bit like a Russian novel too. So appreciate you tying all that together, Richie. Let's switch topics. Like I said, we're gonna dig into Muncy once we know more. Yeah. But the Dodgers did win this game. And that's still important. Winning baseball games is fun, and walking off is a lot of fun, especially
when I'm there.
When you're there, that's important. That's definitely what I was going to say, the rest of that sentence. But also especially when you have a superstar who's been struggling. And, I was watching the game at the time with just a couple people in our Discord server at that point. Me and Kevin, and I think Dry Protoss was the only other guy in there with us at that point at the end of the game. And we were watching it together. And when Freddie came up, and we'll get to how it got to that in a second, but when he came up, Kevin said, there's still nobody I would rather have up in a walk-off situation than Freddie. Yep. And I said, his last two at-bats have been really good. He had a base hit, and then he had that line out to right field. Like, he looked like Freddie Freeman in his two previous at-bats coming up. And so you get, okay, maybe he's figuring it out, and you put him in the situation where he has always thrived. Kind of nice that, unlike the World Series Grand Slam, the Dodgers had already tied the game here. And so it's like, okay, worst case scenario, we go to extra innings, not the end of the world. But Freddie's just like, no, forget that. Let's just go home. And it was so gratifying to see Freddie Freeman, and it would have been nice to see Mookie get the walk-off hit too, obviously. But Mookie gets a clutch sac fly, and then Freddie gets the walk-off hit. It feels like that was big for both of them, but especially for Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, absolutely. Mookie would have loved to have won that game, but he did his part with the sac fly, and I felt pretty confident in him right now because he has not even a warning track like power kind of swing. But there's nobody. The game is on the line. There is nobody I want up there more than Freddie Freeman, regardless of the scuffle. And he delivered. He was. One of the things I love was Kershaw saying how much crap Freddie gave him day in, day out. Hey, you're only this many strikeouts away. But this team really wanted this for him. Freddie very much wanted this for Kershaw. And if it's a loss, Clayton isn't going to be as happy, isn't going to be as open to the questions in the post game media scrum. So for Freddie to gift him and gift all of us a walk off to end this book, and I called it at the stadium because there was a point there, especially 7th, 8th innings, drag, absolute drag, just awful game. Why did I waste my time coming to this? And then it was a reward for sticking through it. It's like sticking in a bad marriage. You got to get that reward sometimes. I don't know anything about marriage. I don't believe in it, but still, you get the point. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Sometimes it might just be that marriage doesn't believe in you, Clint,
But marriage is a leading cause of divorce.
Taking the proactive approach there. We were rewarded a couple times, rewarded when Kershaw got to his moment, and then rewarded with the walk-off win. And it does allow you to forget like those 6th and 7th inning or 7th and 8th innings. It's like, okay, yeah, come on, guys. If you're not going to do anything, let's just go home. But then they did. And after Dodgers got out in the 7th inning, I said, okay, all we need is one more base runner to make sure that Ohtani gets up again. And then Conforto gets that base hit to lead off the inning. He tried to ground out to second, but he was unsuccessful. It barely got past the second baseman. And I'm like, okay, well now Edman and Kim are both unlikely to hit into a double play. And so Ohtani's probably getting up. And then the pitcher just said, I'm just going to throw 8 balls in a row. So suddenly it's bases loaded, nobody out for Ohtani. And, and there's all these different ways that this night could have gone perfectly. There's no such thing as one perfect way to win a game. And so an Ohtani grand slam would have been great. An Ohtani base clearing double would have been great. Because you've got Kim on first base. A double is winning the game. Instead, Ohtani, just hits a grounder to second. And luckily, he's remarkably fast. And so it gets a run in, gets the tying run to third base, still just 1 out. And Mookie comes up, and it's like, even when Mookie's struggling, it's like, Mookie's going to get you a sac fly. And he's got that sac fly gene. And maybe it's because right now, this version of Mookie, that's as far as he can hit it. So he's just like, I'm going to just hit the ball as far as I can. But it worked out, and he didn't wait around. It was, he had 2 huge sac flies in the World Series that, were big moments. And this was another one of those, obviously lower stakes than a World Series game, but huge sac fly for Mookie. And then, somebody in the comments mentioned Ohtani's stolen base was huge, and once Mookie hit the sac fly, because we had been talking when we were in the Discord server, is Ohtani going to steal with Mookie at the plate, to try to get so that a base hit wins it. And then Mookie swings at the first pitch. So it was a moot point. But once Smith came up and then he gets the 2 strikes on, so okay, now you're definitely setting Ohtani, because then worst case scenario, he gets thrown out. Smith gets to lead off the 10th inning. No big deal. And he steals that base. And at that point, then Smith works the walk, and it's like, okay, go ahead and get it done, Freddie. And I was remarkably confident for a guy who has been scuffling as bad as Freddie has been. I was remarkably confident when he stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, that's just Freddie. Get him at Dodger Stadium, apparently. Get him a chance to win a ball game. He's going to do that. I do want to make sure we also shout out the bullpen for doing a hell of a job keeping the game where it ended up staying there after Kershaw leaves. Trevino, Vesia, Klein combined for 3 clean innings, 4 Ks there, just looking at the stats here. I wanted to make sure they got their flowers as well.
Oh, they got 4 strikeouts, so we got the 7 jumbo jacks?
They got the 7 jumbo jacks. All the food happened, I think, yesterday. You got the Panda Express, you got the jumbo jack, you got the stolen base, so that's a free hot dog and slim can cola at AM PM. I think those are all of them, but I should go around town and really bloat up for on the Dodgers dime today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely what you need in your life.
Yeah. I can stand. Honestly, I got my steps in yesterday at the stadium, and an absolute just nightmare getting in and around that place. I thought I got there. I knew I wasn't there as early as I could or should have been. I thought we got there decently early enough. Did not get my Yamamoto bobblehead, by the way. Our whole, it was myself, my buddy Robert, and one of our guys, Bob Nightingale, in the chat. We all carpooled there, and I did not get my bobblehead. We did get in just in time to see Kersh pitch, thankfully, but there is a lot above where the Think Blue sign used to be. They parked us all the way up there, and we had to hoof it all the way down. Oh, thank you, NS. Don't forget the Chicky Nugs at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, not a sponsor. Yeah, so anyways, that was a lot. That was a lot of I'm a big boy. I'm not made for these boots are not made for walking.
Yeah, they're hardly even boots at this point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't have socks, shoes, or even pants on right now.
There are things. I told Kevin this yesterday. You don't have to say all the things that pop into your head, you know. But here we are.
Cheers. You want to know what's in the cup? Coffee.
That's what people were asking in the chat. Yeah,
I saw that.
Got your coffee. I've got my ice water because that's it's
what I got. We got to. I really got to send you an All Dodger sticker already. Hey. Load some All Dodgers on there.
Dodger Yard is still a thing. Go to Dodger
Yard.
Yeah,
but
I could fit 2 stickers on here for sure. Yeah. Anyway, it was a good game. I'm sorry you didn't get your bobblehead. I do think that at some point they just need to go to 50,000 for every bobblehead, or at least Yamamoto is going to be in demand, even if it wasn't the Kershaw game. But also, I think most people were there, like you, were there because it was Kershaw's game and not because of hopefully that lined up. That at least the 10,000 people who didn't get the bobbleheads were not there for the bobblehead, and in reality, if you were there for the bobblehead, you would have planned to get there earlier because you're a responsible young man. And so,
yeah, I was mainly there for 22, and eventually he delivered.
Cody Bellinger bobblehead a few years back, the day that the Cubs threw the combined no-hitter against the Dodgers. I was there with my wife and all 3 of my kids and 3 other people. We used my whole row of 8 seats, and so we had 8 bobbleheads, and some dude sitting behind us was harassing me the whole game because he got there late, didn't get a bobblehead. He's like, you have 8 of them. I said, I've got 8 people too. And know what? Me and my 8 people, we got here early, dummy. So, man.
Shucks.
I almost.
Golly.
Yeah, I almost said, a borderline swear word at that dude.
And then you stabbed him.
Yeah, he's dead. I mean, I'm not. He's unalived. Is that what we're supposed to say?
Unalived. Yeah, unalived. Yeah.
I'm joking.
Disclaimer: YouTube. Jeff didn't kill anybody, but there is a reason Kevin's not here this morning.
As far as I know, that guy's still alive. Unfortunately. All right. But I know you've got a Dodger territory show to do in hour and a half now, so you've got to get ready for that. Put some pants on.
It's like 2.5 hours. I will put on some pants for Jeff Spiegel. I got the other. Some people call him the better Jeff. I call him the other Jeff. I call him one out of all of the Jeffs that talk Dodgers on the internet. He is one of them. But of course, he'll
he's
be
in my
me.
phone as other Jeff,
that's a good name. Yeah. That's just a solid name.
You're in my phone as Green Bubble Clint.
Listen, don't get me started on the iPhone elitist hatred.
What are you podcasting on? A Mac? Oh yeah, good job.
That's because they made me. That was because they made me. Anyways, I'll be live. I'll be live a little bit later. Dodgers territory, 12 o'clock Pacific time. We will probably be live in some sort of formation here on All Dodgers when we find out more about Muncy today. So make sure you guys like the show, one, to help us out, and subscribe to the channel. That goes a long way in helping us out. We are super close to 16,000 subscribers. So after that, we got to go for 17. And then after that, probably about 3.4 billion subscribers. So you guys are the only ones that can help us do that.
Well, you and 3.4 billion of your closest friends.
Yeah.
If we're rounding. So yeah, that'll do it for us. How do you end this show, Clint? Why don't you do it?
Well, I say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the people hanging out with us in the chat this morning. Obviously, we usually don't go live at 9 a.m. on Thursdays, but I agree with Jeff. It was important that everybody that could be available. Me and Jeff talk about Kershaw Day together. We'll get Kevin's thoughts as well when he joins us later on the channel. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show outside of hitting that like button and subscribe button, do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/realfrg, or click the join button here on YouTube. With that, you get access to the Discord where we're talking Dodger baseball all day long, all year long, living these big moments together, which is usually a lot of fun. Even at the game, I was still popping into the Discord here and there, sharing some thoughts and sharing some concerns here and there. There's watch parties, there's other things, there's game meetups, all that kind of stuff. Just $5 a month, and you are literally helping support us and supporting independent Dodgers coverage here on the internet. So I think that's pretty cool. But if you can't do that, again, hit that like button, subscribe. That's the biggest thing that helps us out. The guy That way, nope. That way is Snydog. Give him a follow on the social media. Well, it's on Twitter at Snydog. The guy that way is Real FRG on the social media. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. Check out Bet Online. We appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.